Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And what you're looking at right here is a private telephone network that does not require any subscription to any external service. What's really cool about this system is that this could be set up all over the world. It would be your own private, secure comms phone network. Any of these phones can call any of the other phones. There's call display. There's even call waiting and conference calling. And I'm going to show you how to do it with these. These are analog telephone adapters. The SIPURA 2100, later bought, that company was later bought by LINKSYS. These are $10 on eBay right now. And each one of those supports 2 lines. And as you see, I've wired them together. Basically, this is a swap cable. The green and orange are swapped between the two. That's because I've wired them back to back to pass traffic among each of them back and forth. If you wanted to wire more than 2 together, then you could just use a network switch. You wouldn't have to use a swap cable. It is using a private IP range, which I'll show you all the configuration and how to do this as soon as we're done with this demonstration. We'll get on with the technical side. But basically, you can make a call. I'm going to call this phone here. And these phone numbers, I've assigned them. This is part of the dialing plan. You can create your own dialing plan. And you can use whatever numbers you want on your telephone network. That's the cool thing about it. It's your own network. You can assign whatever numbers you want. I went with 7-digit numbers. These 2 telephones over here start with 555. This is handled by the 555. We call that the central office, or the 9X. If it was like a real big phone network, you always have different, we call the CO codes or exchanges or 9Xs. This box here, 999, and it handles 999, 1111, and 222, which is this phone over here. So basically, I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to call 555-2222, and there we go. This phone over here is ringing, and you will see Batman is calling. And that's another thing. You can set the caller ID to whatever you want.
Batman.
And then we will hang up.
Call from Batman.
We're going to go over here on this telephone here, the 999 exchange. Okay, now we're going to actually be calling across from one box to the other. And we're going to call 555-2222 as well. And there's a call coming across from one box to the other. And it's no other than Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin is in the house, of course.
Call from Led Zeppelin.
And let's go over here, and we're going to
call from Led Zeppelin.
We're going to call again 555-2222, and we're calling another call coming in.
Call from Ziggy Stardust.
Oh, Ziggy Stardust. There we go. Now, what's really cool is I can answer that call, and you'll see here I can talk to them. Hello, 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 and we have call waiting. I'm going to make another call to 555-2222, and look at that. Wow, we have call waiting. So yeah, you can do the call waiting thing over that. That's so great. Yeah, so basically all telephone functions, private network. Yeah, you can do everything you can do with a regular telephone. And the thing that's really cool is this doesn't cost anything to operate. You can do this internally in a building within your own land. If you do want to extend it outside of your building to somewhere else in the city or in the world, you would use VPN routers that would then tunnel this traffic, this private subnet. I'm using 10.1.1. whatever. One of the adapters I've assigned 10.1.1.10, and the other one is 10.1.1.11, and we could go so on. Each one just needs a unique IP number because that's basically it for the routing. Everything here is static routing, and there is a dialing plan, which I'll get into how to configure it next. Okay, guys, stick around. Okay, we're going to now move on a little bit more of the technical discussion here on how you too can create your own private telephone network. And it all starts with these VoIP adapters. These are SIPURA 2100 model. These can be bought on eBay right now, brand new, for $10. I'm not making this up. Go search eBay. There's a guy out there in Cleveland selling all. He's got a whole, and I actually bought 20 of them from him. Yeah, I couldn't pass up $10. It's especially when you know how to do these kind of things with them. It's just totally amazing. One of these boxes is actually a telephone company internally. One of these VoIP adapters actually does, it encodes and decodes. It provides all the signaling and voltages that telephones need. It's just amazing what these boxes can do. Now, most people think those VoIP adapters need a VoIP server to work, and they don't. They can be configured to work as I'm doing here, back to back. And what's really cool is what's passing over those two pairs of wires, the green and orange. That is internet traffic. That is IP. So even though I'm doing a private subnet here, my private subnet could be tunneled through a VPN router. So you could have one in LA and one in New York, or one in London and one in Australia. And it would work just the same as it's working here. And what's really cool is that it is a private phone network that nobody knows about. It's not using an external public server that could be snooped on. That's what's really cool. This is secure comms, and the fact that these adapters would be talking to each other through a VPN tunnel makes it even more secure. That is encrypted traffic. Depending on the level of your VPN encryption, yeah, it's going to be really secure. Yeah, this is the way you do it, guys. And this all came about from a video I saw probably about 10 years ago. Guy sets up a couple of telephones, but he's got the VoIP adapter there. He's got a PAP, what's it? They call that one a PAP2. Basically the same thing. It was a 2-line adapter. And there was a video here, very basic video. And I'll show it to you right now. So the guy basically made a 2-line, oh no, okay. I like the Smashing Pumpkins, but we're gonna stop that. Go back here. Okay, we're gonna just scroll down quickly to the bottom here. And I'm actually gonna do a better job with this, but I just wanna point something out. It's his dialing plan, and starts with S0. That means the seconds, wait 0 seconds to connect line 1, and then he's connecting just internally to the 127.0.0.1. That is a local host, and so he's basically, yeah, just looping back to the other line. Internally, he's made an intercom. There's no dialing plan really. It just immediately connects to the other one. So I'm going to get into the dialing plan that I've created, and you're going to see the complexity to it. And how it actually works and how it actually routes. It's all static routing. We're going to get into that next. Okay, guys, thank you. Okay, guys, so here we go. I'm going to show you how this guy did it. This was the intercom guy with the phone set up. You go into the advanced view and basically, okay, to make old telephone sets ring, you need 90 volts, sinusoidal sine wave, and 20 hertz. Now this other stuff here, this is probably already set in the adapter. It's pretty basic stuff. Enable the lines, yes, you want to enable the lines. Line 1 is always 5060, the port number, and line 2 is 5061. Now here's where things get interesting. You get in and there's no outbound proxy or proxy server because there's no VoIP server. So there's no VoIP server registration. So set that to no. Registration expires. Set that to 0. Outbound proxy and all of this other stuff. No, no. Make calls without registration. Yes, yes. Now, display name. This is where you can put in Batman or Wonder Woman or whatever you want your caller ID to show on the other end. That's what this field is. Now, this is important. User ID, this is the identification of this circuit. We're calling it line 1. Password is blank. Authorization, we just put line 1 in. Use authorization ID, no. We go down here. The codec's probably already set to G711. Just leave that alone. And here's where our dialing plan goes in. And okay, line enabled, SIP proxy. This would be for line 2, 5061. He's talking, yeah, see we're into line 2 here. Basically, it's going to be all the same things. And again, the dialing plan for line 2, he's actually showing the other, shows it goes to line 1, the opposite. Okay, don't worry about that. We have our own dialing plan. I'm going to get into that in a sec. Okay, guys, this is the dialing plan that I'm using, and you'll see how a lot of this looks similar to what the guy had, but over here I'm putting in phone numbers. Okay, so you can see there was the phone number first, then the seconds 0 to wait, then the line identification, line 1, and then there is the IP number. Now I'm using not the loopback IP that he was using, 127. I'm actually using a private IP of 10.1.1.10 followed by the port number. That is that line's routing. And then the next one, you'll see 999. Again, the same thing, wait 0 seconds, line 2, and then basically it's the same thing, but we have port 5061. And to make things easier, I've actually just put everything that this string, basically you want it as a string when you copy it into the adapter, no spaces. I added spaces here so we can get a better look at what's actually going on. And there's the first phone number, 999-11011. Now this is copied into all 4 lines, so they all know the dialing plan. This is when somebody is dialing an outward bound call, how it should be routed. So basically what the adapter is doing is when it sees 999-111 dial, it will look for line 1 at 10.1.1.10 and port 5060 is where the voice traffic is routed. If it doesn't exist, you will get a reorder signal because the call can't be completed as dialed. So the second number is the second line and basically different name, which is line 2, and different port number for the voice traffic. Now we go over the second adapter. This means now the call is being routed. Say we're on this line here. We're calling the 555 from the 999. It's going to now look externally for, basically it's first searching internally. This is how internet does things. It's resolution. It will look internally, then it will go outbound. We'll look externally for this destination. So the next thing it would go over to, it would start looking for, say it was this number externally. And as you see, everything is basically the same, but it's a different IP number. Now we're 10.1.1.11. and those VoIP ports 5060 and 5061. Now, if we wanted to get really complex here and we wanted to have, say, 10 destinations or 10 VoIP adapters, 20 destinations, I made an example here. This would be the 828 central office, 2 lines there, and it's using the IP ending in 10. Then we have the 925 central office ending its destination IP is 11. And I'm pretty sure you get the idea here by looking at this, how I've done this. And we have the 829, the 877, and each one has a unique address. And basically the names get repeated, line 1, line 2, and the ports get repeated. But the IP is different because that's the routing. So that's basically how that works. And now I'm going to show you how I configured my actual VoIP adapter. Here we are logged into one of the VoIP adapters. This is the first VoIP adapter in our system. And the first thing I'm going to start with, and this is an important step here, we're going to look at the WAN setup. WAN, this is the IP of the device, making it its unique address. The IP is set as static. We're going to use a private IP in our situation here with our dialing plan. This device is 10.1.1.10. This is where the dialing plan would route the call if the call was destined for this IP number. Now, gateway doesn't really have to be set. I did set it. It's not going to be routing outside of our own private network, so there's really no use for gateway IP. Also, DNS, it was already there, and the time servers, but we're not connecting externally. This is a private network. Just leave that information alone. No need to touch it. Now, where things get really interesting is we go over here to the advanced settings. We go down, and there's the dialing plan. And that is where the string that I created goes in. And as you see, the dialing plan, if the number 999-1111 is dialed, wait 0 seconds, connect to line 1 at 10.1.1.10, and voice traffic goes to port 5060. If it's 999-2222, we go line 2, 10.1.1.10, 5061, and so on. There's also these other ports here about the proxy. Follow the instructions from the previous video. Here's where your caller ID name would go in. There I have Ziggy Stardust. You can set that to whatever you desire. And the user ID and authorization ID, line 1. That's basically all there is to that. There are other settings here that you can play with. These are all the different signalings and tones. Basically, I would just leave that alone, but you can play with it. I mean, it's got all different kind of ring patterns, call waiting tones, bell core. I mean, basically one of these boxes is, it is a server. We call it a VoIP adapter. It is a VoIP server itself. You can set all these different codes, you know, call waiting, do not disturb. Everything is in here you can think of. It's a pretty cool little device. Like I said, these things are like $10 on eBay right now. Guy out in Cleveland with a whole bunch of them. So go check them out. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Remember I said I bought a whole bunch of these adapters off the guy in Cleveland? Well, look at what I've done with these ones. These are generating 14 different analog phone lines, running all kinds of things I have. Now, one thing I want to point out is that the power jacks on these things are kind of cheesy. That's the only thing I've had problems with. Everything else is pretty solid. The other thing is the little plug-in power adapters that come with them, the 5-volt adapters. They last about a year and then they start acting up. Just bad capacitors inside them. So what I've done here is with my adapters is I've built them into a nice little rack here. This little, I don't know, laundry room rack of some kind. And I have a power supply in here, computer grade power supply. I have an old Dell server. These Dell power supplies were totally bulletproof. They just keep working and working forever. I've had this running for a while now, and what I did is this thing's outputting 5 volts, and I've got these 10 gauge cables coming out of there. You can get this thing to focus for you, and I have a fuse block down here, and basically those are 2 amp fuses. And every one runs up here, and each one of these has its own 2 amp power source. And so that's basically how I do that. Each one of those lines comes out here to a distribution, a BIX block, and a cross connect. And from there it goes on out into my building here. I've got an old, this was known as a Logic 20 telephone. It had 20 lines on it. It's kind of the same thing as a Western Electric call director, but I use it for testing all of my lines, which you can see right here. And I've got the speakerphone here, and we can test each one of these lines. Go through them all. Oh, we got a message on that one. Another message on that one. So yeah, that's basically it. And Over here I've got KSU, and I can actually put these lines on hold. There we go. Just like radio, the old days of the radio stations where you could put lines on hold. So yeah, there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Take that advice about the power. And okay, have a good one.